Let's look at some growing options, guys. Now what we're looking at here is not a very efficient use of space. You know, this is what people used to do. Look at the amount of wasted space, not only in the row, but between rows. So this is no-go. You know, we don't even want to consider this type of production. What we want to look at is a better way that we can confine, concentrate our production, make it more friendly in terms of management and drainage. This is just a basic raised bed. All kinds of materials can be used for beds. Obviously lumber is the choice for most people because it's readily available. Different types. If you don't want to use treated lumber, you can get cedar. You can treat it with oil, linseed oil, whatever, if you choose lumber. Now, I get a lot of questions about railroad ties. Typically, they're okay as far as we know, what we've read, what I've heard from other specialists. As long as this stuff is not exuding, you know, creosote, if they're old, they're dry to the touch, they're okay to use. I wouldn't, if I had a crack in this, I wouldn't fill it with soil and stick a carrot in it or anything, but it's okay for a retaining wall, for a bed like this. Moving on to different types of material, concrete blocks work great. You're just going to have to stabilize them with rebar or sucker rod or something. Ornamental stone, flagstone, pavers. This particular type of bed has a footing underneath it, and it is spotted together with mortar, with cement. Beautiful. It's kind of over the top, but absolutely gorgeous. As far as having something that is functional, will last a long time, stays cool, you can't beat concrete. If you have somebody who knows what they're doing here, you pour the footing and the stem wall, if you will, all at one time. What a wonderful material, but very expensive. Initial cost. If you look at over time, you know, it's going to be a good value. You know, if you pass it on to your kids and your grandkids, right? They're all going to live in the same house anyway eventually, right? Metal, of course, the downside of metal is it rusts, but you can treat it. We have several plans on using corrugated metal to make beds. You can get on our website. This is one similar to that. It's nice looking, goes together fairly quick. Here's one that's a little unusual. Hay bales. A lot of folks like this because they don't have problems with soil-borne disease in the straw bales. Wheat straw works really good. What sets this apart is it's got a fence around it. It's a designated area where they know where to put these replacement bales. It's kind of cute, has some ornamental value to it. Now, if you're looking at saving money, if you have more time than money, then all these recyclable materials, this is just some automobile tires. We designed this 20 years ago. We came up with this plan. There's not much to look at, but goodness grief, it lasts a long time, and it's fun to make. Plans on that are also available on our website. This is a new publication we're coming out with. It's a stand-up bed, a super high-profile bed, whatever you want to call it. I said this word the other day, and I think I even mentioned it to my wife, who actually that is right there. She's modeling for me. I said, "What do you think about baby boomer bed?" And she said, "That's stupid." Well, you think about the people who would really enjoy this type of a bed where you don't have to bend over are baby boomers, you know. I think this has a lot of value. I think it's fairly inexpensive to build. There's no digging, no concrete. You just stack some truck tires, fill them with soil. It is a true raised bed because the soil goes all the way to the grade. Roots can grow all the way down through that, in other words. And you can stand up. And it even comes with a little hoop house on top of it, okay? We will have these plans available hopefully in the next couple of months. It will not be a published or a hard copy, but it will be available on our website. Your soil, if you have just a few containers, go ahead and buy you a good quality topsoil. Obviously, if you're doing this in your whole garden, your whole backyard, and you're trying to really make it in the food factory, you're going to have to order some topsoil. There are no grades to this, no standards. You get what you sometimes don't expect. So it would behoove you to go and look at the soil, the site, before you purchase it. If you need some help identifying what type of soil it is, you can bring it by the office, take it to the extension service. They can not only test it, but typically you just mix this with a little water and you rub it between your fingers. If it balls up like clay, it's clay. It's not very good for use in a raised bed. Okay, sandy loam is better. Okay, what about between the beds, if we're still with the raised bed concept? We want something that, that we can walk on, that we're not going to be standing in mud. Most folks will just choose a turf, whatever's there, and they keep it mowed. If it's in Bermuda grass, you see the problems. It's going to creep everywhere. So a good alternative would be turf-type fescue in between the beds if you want a turf to walk on. There are other choices. This is, I think, where I would like to go to if I'm fortunate enough someday to do this. Matter of fact, in some of our beds and some of our model gardens that we will be erecting here as part of our center, we will try to demonstrate this concept, have a hard surface where you can, if some of that soil comes out of the beds, you scrape it up with a square point shovel, put it back in. It's all weather access. Isn't that nice? This is not my favorite choice, a loose surface. It's hard to walk in. If you want it wheelchair accessible, it needs to be hard surface. That's going to grow up in weeds eventually because that soil's coming out of the beds, mixing with the gravel. You're going to have weeds growing up. That's a hard thing to maintain, especially if you don't want to spray herbicide. But I would rather choose bark than gravel simply because it decomposes and I just keep adding it to it. And it goes away, but it actually, you could recycle that if you wanted to, the actual alleyway. So some things to think about.